Welcome. Whoever will listen to this special cup of coffee with yours truly, Adrian h.a.dragan, rebirthing as priestess, Hana, founder of the dancing goddess and the dragon empire. It's flag, you can see that red dragon on. It's emblem of the dancing goddess, who dances with her brother the sun to make, produce, and create all the fruits, all the legumes, all the vegetables, even this black coffee bean that I'm about to pour in this filter. It's made and created and produced on the black fertile earth with the water and the rain, and of course the sun, the brother of the goddess, who now rises over China, Korea, both northern, south, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Cambodia, Laos, Nepal, India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Myanmar known as Burma, Cambodia, Vietnam, New Zealand, Australia, and sheds on the macro scale light and life and heat, and produces fruits and vegetables and legumes. And since 2010 February, Vietnam has become the second biggest producer of coffee. Perhaps even some black coffee beans in Vietnam, such as this one. You get a very black coffee that I'm gonna have. This cup of coffee is dedicated to the mission, vision, and philosophy of the dancing goddess empire and the dragon empire, who are both one and the same empire, via the Phoenix People's Party, the anti-war, anti-poverty, anti-racism, pro-love party, an internationalist party which I've launched, and calling all willingly living citizens locally, nationally, internationally to support the mission, vision, and philosophy of world peace via the respective causes and missions of the dancing goddess and the dragon empire of the people. Phoenix People's Party is a revolutionary, is a universalist, revolutionary, centrist party. Revolutionary that, of course, we're advocating for world peace and the world coming together as a global civilization. The call is for the establishment of a global central bank by biometrics, by what I call debt refusion, meaning a sort of a reset. Debt refusion, my theory written in the past of struggling financially in the libraries here of Montreal, become a second home. I've read countless books and I've developed this theory called debt refusion and democratic fusion, which is basically the Phoenix People's Party's essence as a universalist, revolutionary, centrist, in that, of course, it accords and supports the mission, vision, and philosophy of world peace via securing the three elements of civilization: food, housing, and transport for all by the creation of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security Force, aka the Dragon Army, from all willingly living citizens, police forces, and public and private security forces and armed forces of the world, in concordance with the mission, vision, and philosophy of the dancing goddess, to create the International Dance League, the national integrated dance league that is integrated in terms of gender, in terms of age, and to counterbalance the Western patriarchal sports leagues such as the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and European soccer leagues. So, of course, these, since 1984, these athletes who are male, men, of course, are making millions of dollars, and there's no women sports leagues or integrated gender for that matter who makes even close to the financials that the NFL, National Football League, National Basketball Association, Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, or European soccer makes for that matter. Thank the one I love and call sister, who's my friend and oftentimes teacher, for providing, she'll remain anonymous, providing the filter for me to drink cleaner, purer water. Perhaps heal my wounded head from a black sword years ago. Got a cup of coffee. Thank the brothers and sisters farmers who harvested this coffee and who harvest the fruits of that great work of the years, decades, months, centuries, millennia, and we call farming. The fruits, that is, the vegetables, the legumes that are produced and made by the dance of the goddess, or the brother, the sun. I'm going to be discussing the paradox of American so-called empire. I'm going to be discussing the paradox of the Dragon Empire, the Phoenix People's Party, and the Dancing Goddess, and see how it goes. I want to do a little bit of reading about Black History Month. My brothers and sisters of color, black brothers and sisters, since it is February 18th, 2021, 9:37 EST PM. Let it be known that as a universal spiritual teaching student, my beliefs concerning reincarnation, of course, that have been incarnated in many lives. Twice was born in the USA, the United States of America. Thus I'm calling on Biden to immediately, hopefully by the time that this video is posted, if not by midnight, if not tomorrow, latest Friday by 3 o'clock, to be granted also United States citizenship. And all willingly loving of all the world, here from North America to the Americas, to Europe, to Africa, to the Middle East, to Asia, my brothers and sisters, to join before the quest and the struggle of world peace, which was my dream in 1996 as an 11-year-old child. I was living a hard, tough life, suffered a lot, many others have as well. Humanity as a whole in the 20th century. Communism, fascism, the ideologies, authoritarianism. I am not a dictator, I am not an authoritarian. At heart, I'm really the world's greatest living, dancing millennial poet. But of course, the 20th century, the ideologies of communism, fascism, main ideologies, extreme right and extreme left, dominated 20th century politics. The Cold War embodied a lot of the struggle that embodied communism. And of course, I'm a universal revolutionary centrist, in that I believe we must come together now in the 21st century, hopefully by midnight, 18th of February, by 19th, 3 o'clock. As midnight strikes Hawk Island, Montreal, the sun rises over the city of the pyramids, illuminating Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. Brother, stop throwing filth and dirt in my eye. The universal revolutionary centrist, in that living a private public partnership where these three elements of civilization are secured: food, housing, and transport by willingly loving citizens, volunteers, joining and creating a new global security force, the Dragon Army official title, International Citizen Integrated Security Force, international to be global, citizen integrated with willing citizens volunteering. I've done a lot of volunteering in the past for food security, reading to children, which I love, and hoping to write and publish my series, although I would love to have some financing as of today, 18th of February, 9:41 p.m. Haven't received even $1 yet via PayPal after more than 3 years of my struggle with the limited technology and the laptops that I'm grateful for having and being able, nonetheless, to have this cup of coffee and food, and my rent is paid for February, as many have struggled with this COVID-19 crisis, health and financial crisis. But nonetheless, first dollar, of course, which I'm hoping to get by midnight tonight via PayPal, the first individual, private or public or corporate or non-NGO sponsor to give me that first dollar will be remembered and blessed regularly. Still waiting for that first donation for h.a.dragan, rebirthing as Hana and Dragon Zero, founder of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Empire. Stop throwing filth and dirt and poison in my eye, brother. And my workout videos, of course. I've documented my fitness journey. Writing this from Austin Temple, lost more than 72 pounds. About 50 or so poems, maybe 37 or so. Wrote a lot of poetry, but haven't made videos or published it all. Coffee with Dragons in the past years, 3 years to studies in Red Finance, Black History Month series, and others. Of course, brother, stop throwing poison, dirt, and filth in my eye. So, still waiting for that first donation from private or public via PayPal. Please do so to support, commission, or inquiry, commission a topic, or commission a video, Coffee with Dragon, or a workout video, or a dancing video for the Dancing Goddess Empire, or boxing. I'm still challenging Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border for world peace. Then he could come here, live a few days with me, learn Chinese for world peace, as I started doing. Learning Chinese for world peace is my 2021 initiative. New Year's resolution, that is. It's not easy, it's hard, and for world peace. This cup of coffee is dedicated for world peace, with yours truly, h.a.dragan, discussing the paradox of the American Empire, the paradox of the Dragon Empire. Other paradoxes, such as a little bit of the GameStop financial situation, which I want to go see some videos after this cup of coffee, as there's hearing in the US Senate, I believe, concerned with the matter. GameStop matter, that is. Another of those. Again, this is as somebody who has been incarnated and was an American twice in past lives. As a universal spiritual teacher, advocate of world peace, world's greatest living, dancing millennial poet who makes mistakes every day, is learning every day. The founder, Adrian h.dragan, rebirthing as Hana, Adrian H. Hana Dragon, A-D-R-I-N-H-A-N-H-D-R-A-G-N, Dragon Zero of the Dragon Empire, becoming. Since today I've done my 136th General War Integrated Total Body Training System, that is the 300, known colloquially The 300 workout, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 hawks, and in between marching, doing the cardio, minimum of 31 seconds and maximum of 13 reps, minimum of 3. Those are the rules of the 300, known as the General War Integrated All Body Training System, which was born right here in this room, office and temple as a paradox. Androgynous, pansexual, founder of the, I don't know if you can see, but this is a phoenix that resembles exactly the phoenix that I have tattooed here. Tattoos aside, although that could be a cup of coffee, tattoo art. My tattoos are art and mystic symbols and part of my core essence and struggle to cross the great desert, pain, suicidal, depressed, angry, resentful, bitter. But to understand our natures, I have to say working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will continue to be medicine of choice for me. Working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be medicine for me. That's why, as I've started, of course, have been advocating for mass financing my brothers and sisters to work out, train, exercising by a public-private partnership. This is part of the Dragon Empire's mission, vision, and philosophy, in parallel to securing the three elements of civilization: food, housing, and transport, which I know to be in a non-sectarian. The Dragon Empire and the Dancing Goddess, which are one empire and the Phoenix People's Party, have to state on record it's non-sectarian. Religiously non-sectarian. Politically non-sectarian. Racially, although I believe in one human race, or racial, ethnically, culturally, racial, linguistically non-sectarian. Though English is the lingua franca, of course, but it's a non-sectarian political party and initiative of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Empire. Non-sectarian, like I said, even financially, of course, rich and poor. Ethnically non-sectarian, doesn't matter the ethnicity. Sexual orientation non-sectarian. LGBTQ, myself, years, more than 13 years and 3 months to come out as being bisexual, being embarrassed, spiritually struggle psychologically, friends, what are they gonna say, and repressing it, repressing, and brothers and sisters, repressing our feelings, our emotions, our sexual impulses, and that. Breed disease or breed more. We need to break the impasse and accepting it. Such as our fears to make us stronger and break the impasse. Right now, what I'm hoping for is breaking my financial impasse. I have $10,000 in debt. I'm minus in the bank 500. I crossed by 77 cents the mark. I hope I don't get penalized because I pay $4 to get a 500 draft overdraft protection, which during this COVID has helped me a lot. Nonetheless, my rent is paid. I'm grateful for the government providing me $718 per month of February to pay my rent. Food I have. Goddess who dances with the sun bless me with kisses mystically, and push-ups and squats and hawks and marching as fast as I can get fitter. Invest in my body, which is a temple for purpose and pleasure. As a universal spiritual teaching student, I'm not gonna put on facades. I'm so spiritual that I live without any touch. No, I crave being touched. I love to touch, to give physical pleasure, massage, kisses, and very touchy. If somebody doesn't like it, just tell me, and I'll keep a distance. And of course, now COVID is different, but Just gotta tell, don't go yapping, barking, gossiping on people's backs. We don't know, right? So the paradox of the American Empire. And whether it's an empire or not remains to be discussed. Historians, theologians, some say it has moved towards empire when Kennedy was assassinated, I believe, in November 22nd, 1963. I might not know that's the correct date, but I think it is. November 22nd, 1963, last hours of the Scorpio. And Kennedy was killed November 22nd, 1963. Not that. Perhaps, maybe it had, maybe it hadn't. Some claim it had. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I believe people conspire. I wish somebody would conspire to help me pay my debt by commissioning a video for me to dance for world peace. But that's just hope. And hope and blah blah blah. Sometimes it's we're gonna be at an impasse if action is not taken. But I did mistakes. I do mistakes daily. There's so many things I wish I knew. Look at this computer that I'm doing this recording on. How much do I really know about it? Well, I know a little bit. I know that in theory now somebody could be listening to what I'm uttering on another side, or that everything that I type by something called keylog or administrative remote administration tool or something can be seen on the websites I go to. I'm on a porn diet in February, so um, only listening to BBC News, British Broadcasting Corporation this February, not it's a porn diet, so February. Yes, I've struggled with addictions, pornography. I'm not a drug user. Recreational, I haven't smoked in cannabis. It's legal in Canada, and it's gonna be on my third week. I feel good. Yes, I've struggled addiction, struggled with poverty as a child, coming from a background that's more different, multi-ethnic, single parent, immigrant household, blah blah blah. Yes, I've struggled. I've resented. I was bitter. I was this and that. I realized that understanding and love is the way to break that impasse. First and foremost, understanding my nature, other people's nature, that we are different in natures and desires, in the way we see the world, the perspectives, what we do, our actions, our thoughts and feelings, which can be shaped subconsciously by other factors and elements and etc. Anyways, this is a Draganism divergence. We're gonna come back to this after another divergence, and we're gonna wrap up, go back to Kennedy. Now, Kennedy was assassinated November 22nd, 1963. Some argue, most or not all, or some, I'm going to say most, should not generalize. We gotta stay away from generalizations as much as we can. Sure, generalization, we speak mostly English in North America, but I also speak French, blah blah blah, Spanish, etc. But such generalizations like this, Jews this, blacks that, whites this, Asians this, you know what I'm saying? Those type of generalizations. Or women this, men this. Some women, yes, some women don't. You know, some are into black, some are into white, some are into in between black and white, or gray. Some are a lot of black, gray, rainbow, back to white and back to black, and vice versa in the rainbow in between, such as myself. Kennedy, 1863, 22nd of November, supposedly marks the end of the American Republic as we know it. Now there's conspiracy theories surrounding this fact. I'm not gonna go into that, but some say that's when the American Empire began officially, in a way. The official beginning of the American Empire was when Kennedy was assassinated. But my lecture, Paradox of the American Empire, and have lectured in the past on this. I've created, I think, a year ago or a year and a half ago, my thesis, my theories, my ideas, that even if, although I'm not saying no and I'm not saying yes, I'm saying it has features, certain examples of an empire of certainly military might, the expansion of military bases throughout the world. But again, I'm gonna say that's a paradox, and in my original lecture it was called Unwilling Empire, right? Unwilling. Now you might argue that all other empires were unwilling and they just developed and grew so big that they became empires, or they had the vision of an empire to stretch across vast land spaces, vast land areas, to unite different ethnicities, cultures with a common language, a united army, perhaps a currency, and perhaps a state religion and what have you, such as the Roman Empire. Of course, a student, scholar, student, scholar of the Roman Empire. Such as the marking of the Roman Empire, most historians agree on this, was when Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon with the army and became emperor of Rome, right? The end of the Republic, I think officially, again, a student scholar, so I'm still gotta learn. I think it's officially put at 49 BC, 49 before the Common Era, so about 50 years before Jesus, the Rabbi of Nazareth. Rabbi Jesus of Nazareth, the founder of Christianity, who was not born of a virgin according to me, myself. And this is another paradox perhaps for another cup of coffee. And again, I think he did great things. 3 things that I like about Jesus very much. Some other things, the virgin birth, I think it's insulting to women, and it created a lot of persecution for women and priestesses, Priestess Hannah, where you see her, the depiction, the woman, if you see, she's grows in stature with the sun, right? She's not diminished, she's co-equal, right? She partakes in that an equality, unity. There's a graciousness to it, there's a beauty in it, a natural twist, but there's also a strength to it, right? She's not abased, she's not veiled, she takes her equal place in the sun, right? As a priestess, as a woman, a sister that we called whores, and let them be holy, whores, if we are, right? As we lust and we fear, we got small hands and tiny. Anyhow, but 3 things Rabbi Jesus did which I like. Is turning water into wine. I wish I could do that. Get everybody drunk and dance for the dancing goddess empire. Dance for world peace for just a full month. Just dance and get drunk, and erase the debt and clear the debt back to 0 and start a reset. Hopefully, let's do it at the end of the 40-day revolution, March 1st. So we got 11 days. Hope, dreams. You can say I'm a dreamer, John Lennon. I wrote a few songs, but ain't got the connections to publish any of my songs yet. Perhaps by midnight. Still 2 hours left. Back to Rome. Back to Jesus. Gonna finish without digressing. 3 things Jesus, Rabbi of Nazareth, did that I like. Turning water into wine. Defending the sex worker Mary Magdalene with the stones. Led the famous words in it. The first man without a sin cast the first stone. And nobody cast the stone. They dropped the stones. And the third one, since I'm an advocate of legalizing sex work worldwide, for my project, Mary Magdalene project, revolves around that. And the drugs, not the drugs, Although I'm an advocate for legalizing drugs, I believe that Ronald Reagan's beginning the war on drugs, another paradox, since the United States of America, which was born in the USA twice in past lives, so my American brothers and sisters not far from here, from Hawk Island, a few miles from Hawk Island, also known as Montreal, down south, know that I'm also speaking to you as somebody who was born in the USA twice in past lives. In Georgia, remember 1963, I admitted to my superior something which 156 years ago was unadmissible. Say, you know, I can't fight for what I don't believe in, sir. I've been having romantic sexual feelings for black people. And when he heard that, he chased me away. He was gonna kill me. I was gonna die. When I admitted such a things that I had romantic, lustful, sexual lusts for the slaves. I told him a story. I saw beautiful, they were dancing. I just loved it, and I peaked, whatever. And he got so mad and angry that he chased me away. It was about somewhere close to in the deep south. Somewhere in the deep south. Had flashes, probably next to Georgia somewhere, or the deep south nonetheless. That's what I remember. The dialogue, the events, flashes. Chase me. It's gonna kill me. So I deserted, I guess. I have to meditate to get the full picture and the full story, but briefly, 1863, so 156 years ago, somewhere in the deep south, I've admitted, I came out to my superior, whatever it was, like an army contingent of militia, whatever it was, and something I have to say, I can't do this. It's, I mean, so it's a whole night, and then you saw sunrise rose. Again, back to Jesus. 3 things that I like about Jesus, what Jesus did, was turning water into wine, defending Mary Magdalene, sex prostitute, sex worker, not a prostitute. Use that word, please. Sex work is work. And overturning the tables of the money changers, lenders in the temple. Now, I believe by principle, as an advocate, financial reform and the global central bank by biometrics, hand, eye, and the voice, 3 unique biometric identifiers to have a universal global currency in parallel to some currencies, but I believe an international, transnational, non-sectarian, universal unit of exchange, sun credit or whatever. Jesus' overturning of the tables, the money lenders. And by principle, I believe in the maximum 10% interest rate, because I believe in principle of giving 10% to charity. If one has no debts, if one is not financially struggling, such as myself, I can't do any charity right now, but I can volunteer. I can do this. I'm clearing some things that I'm gonna give in the coming, maybe tomorrow even. Got the bag full of things there. Some other things which I'm gonna give, where I bought a lot of my, like this one, like this shirt I bought secondhand. It says, let's see, all day I dream about soul, all day I dream about soul, all day I dream about soul, all day I dream about soul. So all day dream about soul. Bought it secondhand, so I'm gonna donate there. It's called Renaissance, providentially. So overthrowing, that was the first and the only recorded instance of Rabbi of Nazareth using force, violence, turn the tables and overthrew them, right? So I believe in 10% interest, maximum 10% interest for all mortgages, all debts, all credit lines, all loans for private use, for business use, for commercial use, for credit cards, none of that 15, 20, 25% MasterCard, Visa, no, maximum regulated 10% by principle. And that would be the Dragon Empire. 10%, no more. No more. 10% maximum. Ideally, it would be even lower. Nonetheless, 10%. Because 10% for charity. XYZ. Money in itself is not bad or evil. It's how we use it. If we're too selfish, poison, what have you. We can do a lot of good. We can help. We can finance an artist. Finance billionaires. Finance these gray buildings. Put some color in them. Some red, some green, some purple, some color, man. You know. Anyways. Those three things I like about Jesus, what this virgin story, and Matthew 12, chapter 12, Matthew chapter 12, verse 42, claiming that's greater than King Solomon is a bit too much for me. You know, Solomon built the temple. His Proverbs, his book 2021 now, February 18th, is still gold in terms of and Ecclesiastes, the rhymes and the verses. And of course the Song of Songs. So claiming then, when it's strange a bit, claiming that supposedly your great-great-grandfather, why not praise and say Solomon quote from the Proverbs and show that you know the book of Proverbs and Psalms? I don't know by heart, I know a little bit. I'm still a learning student. It's, you know, it sounds like boastfulness, a bit arrogance almost, a bit like, to me at least. No, I don't accept Matthew 12:42. I don't buy it. And if I'm going to close with this on the spiritual religious of Christianity and Judaism, I'm a universal spiritual teacher, blah blah blah. And there's Moses, Jesus, and of course the prophetess Miriam who danced. To read in Exodus 15, it's like no prophet has or will dethrone the Son. Now creation is a mystery that I don't claim to know, I don't know, but that I do know, that even me, h.a.dragan, rebirthing as Hannah, founder of the Dragon and the Dancing Goddess Empire and the Phoenix People's Party, will not dare to dethrone the Son. So I'm gone in my name, dance, sunrise, sunset, midnight sun, dance in love, praise the Son, and the Goddess becoming greener and greener and a lighter green every day. So back to the American Empire. Again, Roman Empire supposedly 49 BC, but some say American Empire, Kennedy's assassination marked the beginning. Now I'm going to fast forward a bit from 63, November 22nd to September 11th. Some claim that that event marked the real beginning of the American Empire as we know it, with the United States of America and allies, coalition forces, right, of which I'm calling right now by midnight, still almost 2 hours left, for Israel to become the 31st. There's 30 NATO members, become the 31st NATO member in the NATO to support the mission, vision, and philosophy of the Dragon Empire. Of course, my message to the leaders of the free world is very simple and straightforward. Drop down, give Dragon 13 push-ups. With love and for world peace. That's my message to the leaders of the free world. That's it. And support the mission, vision, and philosophy of the Dancing Goddess. The Dragon Empire and the Phoenix People's Party. And the fourth dimension of the Phoenix, Dragon, and Goddess. 37 hour, 49 minutes, 42 second, almost 38, almost 38, almost 38 hour Sabbaths, starting Friday at midnight. My personal initiatives aside, back to the American Empire. What do you say? In the comments, if somebody made it this far, 40 minutes exactly now since I started it, without a heart attack, perhaps you can listen and say, type something, say, I believe this. I don't believe the United States is an empire. I believe it started when you said, or some other people say. I don't say that. You're gonna see coming to that. I don't claim the United States is an empire per se. I say that has features of an empire, has dimensions of an empire, peculiarities of an empire, particularities of an empire, and so on and so on. Some claim it's the 9/11 event, which I remember I was in finishing high school. Yes, yours truly, h.a.dragan, across the great desert, many years, struggled, suicidal, blah blah, suffered, struggled, but I finished high school and actually I've even did some higher degree English, believe it or not. I read a book or two, perhaps three. So I read more than Trump, that's that's for sure. Well, one thing I do know is that Trump inherited money, was born with a silver spoon, and my biological father didn't give me much, but a surname which motto of the Dragon Empire is nobody is born a dragon, you become one through blood, sweat and tears, and doing the 300 workout, also known as the General War Integrated Total Body Training System. Anybody can be an ally, a supporter, a subject of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Empire, but dancing armies are the dancing ones, and the Dragon Army are the ones doing the 300 and being able to do it within the rules. Some say not the Kennedy assassination and not the 9/11 terrorist attack marks the beginning of the United States becoming an empire, but the dissolution of the Soviet Union or the fall of the Berlin Wall, which this date I'm pretty sure it's November 9, 1989. November 9, 1989. November 9, the year 1989. That I know for sure. I can tell you there's no mistaking that date. That I'm sure of. I have dates in my head, blah blah, but that one I'm sure of. The Berlin Wall existed for almost 50 years almost. Maybe 40, maybe 40, 42 years. 42 years. Gotta check. I'm not sure exactly how long or when exactly was built. I believe it was 1949 or 52. So it could have been almost 38 years. I'm pretty sure it's more than 37 years and less than 50, let's say. I gotta check exactly when. See, I know when it fell, November 9, 1989, but I don't know when it was built. I don't know it all. I don't claim to know it all. I'm learning. But anyways, that I do know that. It was between 37 years and 50 years. The span, the length, the duration of the Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall, what was it? Well, it kind of marked, in an official, semi-official, non-official way, the Cold War and Warsaw, what was known as the Varsaf Act, where countries were socialistic, socialist, communist experiments in Eastern Europe, and Russia, who of course was not Russia at that time, was the United Soviet Socialist Republics. USSR stands, it's an acronym for United Socialist Soviet Republics, USSR, or the Soviet Empire, Soviet Union. And the Berlin Wall marked the division of West Germany from East Germany, and East Germany was of course the Democratic People's Republic of Deutschland, the communist socialist Germany, right? And some claim that even now, more than 31 years, brothers and sisters, after the dissolution of the Berlin Wall, the fall on November 9 of the Berlin Wall, so almost the same amount of time that it has been destroyed, dissoluted, and that it stayed, that there are still areas in East Germany or East Berlin that resemble that era of socialist communism. There's still that financial, cultural disparities or problems of integration or whatever, which is again another paradox. Anyways, that's another cup of coffee, maybe just on that topic. Major historical event, November 9, 1989. Major historical event. Global, not just European, because of course socialism, communism, experiments, and governments and states and dictatorships, because that's what they really were, authoritarian dictatorships, right? The authoritarians, the dictators censor all art, not all art. They do create art that's conforming to their worldview and their propaganda, right? Right? Yes. Right. Take me, if you do a meme of me, right? I don't know, in a weird things or in a clownish way, well, you have the right to do that. I might get upset, I might get triggered. So I said, but I wouldn't want to censor it, you know. I say, Adrian, big dragon, strong muscle, but he has tiny hands, which I do, really small hands, and even so. Might do a meme on that. It's art, this internet thing, this freedom thing is not easy. It's a double-edged sword, right? So I'm not a dictator. I got issues too. I struggle too. I lust. XYZ. I'm a human being, man. Anyways, I'd love to get more massages. I have to give also, not just receive, also give, whatever. But the point is that the dictators, that they all art that doesn't conform to their worldview or this, they censor it, right? They censor it. It's both fascism and communism. They're frauds into the bargain, right? They're frauds. Fascism is different, that it has a nationalistic, racial, or even religious dogma, right? Well, communism, the paradox of communism, in that, for which I agree, that one human race, and am a universal, believe in establishing freedom and justice universally. Although first before I start going with that one, there's dirt in my room, I gotta clean, right? My room's not fully clean, got edges and corners, I vacuum, but perhaps I could have done a better job. Right? So, there's still dirt there. See, there's dirt there, I gotta clean, man. I can clean. Dragons, we get dirty, but we get clean. Dragons, we get dirty, but we get clean. Dragons, we get dirty, but we don't stay dirty. Get back clean, right? Any circumstance. The Berlin Wall marked the dissolution of Soviet experiments mostly in Europe, but also, since there were many across the world, in Africa as well, right? Many experiments in Latin America also. There's only a few remaining that are hardcore in a paradoxical way. Again, probably that's another cup of coffee just under, called the remaining socialist, communist, one-party states, which they are. Cuba, one-party state. China, one-party state. Vietnam, still a one-party state. Which one of them? Vietnam, Cuba, China, North Korea, of course. There's a fifth one. I'm missing a fifth one. China, Vietnam, Cuba, North Korea, Cambodia. I don't think it's Cambodia. Laos. One party state. I'm pretty sure there's a fifth communist, at least in name, communist, socialist, one party state remaining. I'll check. I know these four. North Korea, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, based on Juche ideology, but Marxist, Leninist fundamentalist. China as well, Marxist, Leninist, Maoist added, Maoism for Marxist, Leninism. Cuba, Marxist, Leninist, right, with Che Guevara and Castro. What's the other one? Is Vietnam with Ho Chi Minh, right? Which is officially one party communist state still, communist socialist. I think there's a fifth one, but right now it doesn't come to me. Is it Laos. I'm gonna have to check Laos or Cambodia. Anyways, so back to the American empires. I've digressed. Unless one final on German is that this marked the dissolution of the communism as we know it in Europe mostly. But officially, the USSR dissolved only 3 years later, 1991, December 25th. I know this date for sure. I know it through Perestroika when Gorbachev signed the dissolution of the USSR, United Socialist Soviet Republics, which became Russia and the other 15. There were 15 different states amalgamating the Soviet Union after the 1917 October Revolution. October Revolution, 1917, Bolshevik. So other 15 like Kazakhstan, Moldova, Belarusia, Ukraine, the big one, right? And other states, Latvia, and many other states, Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, right, which were part of the Soviet Union. Right? There were a lot of states. Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, and a lot of states, Kazakhstan, right? All those states were part of the Soviet Union. Georgia. So some say when this event, whether 1991, the official dissolution on December 25th, or when the Berlin Wall fell in November, marks the beginning of the American Empire. The beginning. Could be. And so you have 3 dates. Assassination of Kennedy, November 22nd, which according to some marks the beginning of the American Empire. Some say fall of the Soviet Union, with whether you put it as, because some say the fall of the Soviet Union began with the Berlin Wall fell on November 9, 1989 or 1991. December anyway, let's mark it as 1, the dissolution of communism in Europe, which USSR was the main holder or the main power of the Varsaf Act, which was in Poland, which united these Eastern European socialist, communist, mostly dictatorships. Let's call it dictatorships, I guess. But except for one was more independent, was Romania, was a little bit more independent from the diplomatic foreign relations than the other ones, which were more dominated by Russia, by the USSR. Romania had a split, but they went to visit Ceausescu, which he was a dictator for 25 years or something like that, and went to the US and split with Britain and had a more independent foreign affairs and diplomatic ties with the West than the other members of the Varsaf Act. The other ones were pretty much clustered together by the Varsaf Pact, whether East Germany, Poland, and Hungary, and the other ones. Or the third, the 9/11 attack, terrorist attack. 4 planes which struck Pentagon, the Twin Towers, of course, which World Trade Centers, Twin Towers, the World Trade Centers, right? World Trade Centers. One fell in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania fell. And the other one, of course, well, 2 struck. There were 4 planes, 2 struck the 2 Twin Towers. And the other ones. So, Flight 11, Flight 175, Flight 93, and Flight 77. These were the numbers of the different flights. Flight 77, Flight 93, Flight 11, and Flight 175. Flight 175, Flight 11, Flight 93, Flight 77. These are the numbers of the 4 planes. So this I know for sure, for a fact. I've studied a bit of 9/11 attack. It impacted me, of course, not just spiritually, because I was an American born twice in the USA, and call my brothers and sisters to support the mission, vision, and philosophy that I have for world peace, to join the dancing goddess and the dragon empire, create the dancing army and the dragon army for world peace. Here from Hawk Island, Montreal, Canada, not far from New York. But it was one of the major impacts of my life as a North American, global citizen, impact of the world, right? The war on terror afterwards. So that I know these flights. So I even know a little bit more that Flight 11 was one of the planes that struck one of the Twin Towers. Flight 175 was the other one that struck the other Twin Towers, both towers. Flight 93 was the one that crashed in Pennsylvania due to the courage of the 37 passengers. Now, were there 37 in total? I know there were 4 hijackers and 37 passengers, or there were 33 passengers and 4 hijackers. That is a doubt. Well, exactly. And that there's a doubt. I have to check the facts. Of course, it happened to almost 20 years ago, not exactly, but I think it was 37 plus 4 hijackers and not 33 plus 4. But it could be 33 plus 4. So there's a doubt, but anyways, those numbers, 37 and 37 is there. And Flight 77 struck the Pentagon. So Flight 77 struck the Pentagon, 93 crashed due to the courage of the passenger. Flight 175 struck one of the towers. Flight 11 struck one of the towers. So Flight 11 struck one of the towers in New York, Twin Towers. Flight 175 struck another tower, New York, of the World Trade Center, Twin Towers. Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon, and Flight 93 was by courageous passengers was crashed in Pennsylvania. Didn't hit its target, which from what we know it would have went into the Capitol or the White House even. So those 3 events, supposedly according to some historians, even conspiracy theories, are when the United States became an empire. Whether you believe or you agree, let me know. Do you think it was 9/11 that marked the transition, or you don't think that the United States of America became an empire at all, or has features, I believe, of an empire, or an unwilling empire, as I hope? So whether you believe it was when the Berlin Wall fell, in other words, the dissolution of the Soviet Union with ending of the Cold War, really that's what I meant, the end of the Cold War by the dissolution of the United Socialist Soviet Republic, the Soviet Empire, the USSR, and by the dissolution the United States became the sole superpower. Some now argue that China, since the 2007-2010 financial crisis, has emerged since 2010 to be a superpower rival to the United States, and mainly also since 2010 with their initiative, their great, huge, mega financial, commercial, diplomatic, political, social initiative called the Belt Road Initiative. This is a major long-term Belt Road Initiative. I've studied it a little bit. I've seen documentaries. The Belt Road Initiative. It's called Belt Road Initiative. BRI, from China to link all across to the Middle East, a little bit in Europe and a lot of Africa, to railways, to highways, to commercial, to transport, to financial institutions, to the Bank of China, the Commercial Bank of China, and Chinese state-owned mostly corporations. This Belt Road Initiative in the past 10 years that I found is another one that they claim that this is also the birth of China, the Belt Road Initiative beginning, Belt Road Initiative, and it's ongoing, it has begun years ago, that China is the rival, it's a superpower now, and it has been for more than 11 years. It is especially with the beginning, since the beginning of the Belt Road Initiative, which I believe is February 2010 or November 2009 exactly, planned and then slowly, gradually executed. I'm not gonna go into that. That's another cup of coffee. Way too much coffee that I'm gonna ingest. I'm gonna stick to the USA, an empire not. I say unwilling empire. I say no. None of that. Not 9/11. Not the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Although the Soviet Union itself was a superpower, some argue was an empire, but with multi-ethnic, multicultural, multilinguistic empire, which was the biggest. Russia still is the biggest in terms of geography, length, area, the first country in the world in terms of land mass. Canada, we're second. We're second. Canadians here in the north, true, strong, and free. But of course, our population, 80%, if not more, is concentrated in 200 miles from the U.S. border. So you get the idea how really North America were really more one, should be one supranational state entity and enterprise for world peace. But anyways, that Trinity assassination of JFK, dissolution of the Soviet Empire, Soviet Union, and 9/11, I say no, not even that. America began, or the American Empire, earlier. No, not the Civil War. Not the Civil War, not when I was an American in a past life in 1863 and I admitted to my superiors, listen, I was in the deep south and said, nah, I can't do this, I'm gonna admit something that's unadmittable. I have this romantic, sexual, lustful urges towards these colored slaves. I saw them dancing and beautiful and found them beautiful and XYZ. And he just wants to chase me. I don't want you to say you damn nigga, love her, get out of here. I'm trying to kill me. I was chasing. Well, I admitted it, what was in my heart. I wasn't gonna live like that. Just like it took me 13 years and 3 months to admit that I'm bisexual. Right? There's things that we gotta admit to love and understanding, and I have aggression, I have force, I have violence in me, but this past COVID especially, I've learned how to love and understanding, how to channel it, sublimate it. And that's what the dancing god is, to dance. The Dragon Empire is all about. It's the Western world, Canada, US, Mexico, Israel. Our urge to love, be loved. And that's why we have sports. Right? We put our bodies, the body acceptance, our physicality, for purpose and pleasure, to bodybuilding, to sports, right? To all the different sports, not just the violent and aggressive ones, to ballet, to gymnastics, to tennis, to football, to soccer, to boxing, to XYZ, all the aggressive and less aggressive or not ones. Working out, training, exercising, has-beenism will be medicine for me. So to recognize that and to admit our hidden lusts, hidden fears in XYZ, it's a big psychological catharsis. And then we can break the impasse and not repress it, channel it, and sublimate it, understanding it. Of course, there has to be practical, psychological XYZ to break the impasse. But nonetheless, so here it is, finally, after all that blah blah blah, I'm gonna get to it. American Empire. Unwilling empire. What does unwilling mean? It means that to some events, not willed, you are put in that position. Yes, you might do some things, some actions, but to have that great effect, it's unwilled, or it's semi-willed, partly, but to have that greater consequence. But the USA, the American Empire, paradox of the American empire is that it is an unwilled, in many ways, empire. How do I say that? It's not like short-lived 12, 13 years and 3 months, 13 years and 3 months, about 13 years and 3 months Nazi empire, because it became a Nazi empire, right? It conquered Europe, most of Europe, in a matter of just weeks. France and Poland, and assimilated Austria, right? And conquered North Africa and what have you. The Nazi military empire, right? It was a Holocaust, and it's all a tragedy. That was a will. They willed it. He said it right, from what I know from Mein Kampf, right? It was outlined there 2 years before Hitler even came to power. He outlined that he wanted Germany to be an empire again, as a racist empire, dominating, racially pure, as they had that fascist ideology of this Aryan race, right? It was mixed with cult and Aryan race and what have you, stuff like that. It was like that. Aryan race type of ideas, Nazi ideology, right? Fascist, racist, supremacist, all that. And they willed their empire, right? They said yes, they willed it. The Japanese empire as well, they willed it. But the American empire, the paradox is that they did not will it. Second World War. Japan is an empire, conquers a lot of Asia, the Philippines, part of Indochina, big part of China as well, mainland China, a lot of it, Manchuria, Shanghai and all. There was a lot of area of China was conquered by the Empire of Japan. Nazi Germany, they willed, they worked for decades to build the empire. Right? They conquered Poland in a few weeks, right? They conquered France in a few months. France fell, Poland fell. Austria was assimilated or integrated in a more peaceful manner because they're considered German ethnically, they were considered linguistically and what have you. And then they spread, right? They made alliances, the Axis powers, right? And they conquered North Africa and what have you with Rommel, the general. So they willed their empire. Japan as well, they had another ideologies, again, revolving around the emperor and the Japanese honor codes. Also part of a racial supremacist, imperialist ideology. Along the same lines, but not, there's some divergence and stuff. And again, I don't know at all, but a little bit, right? It's marked the 20th century, world history, Western, global, Asian world history. British Empire, famous empire on which the sun never set, which I think historically was still the biggest, longest, I mean, because of its stretch, the colonies still there was the biggest to the extent. I think some historians say the Mongol Empire, the Mongol Genghis Khan and the Khanates, his descendants and his sons and grandchildren of the Khan, Genghis Khan. I think he was another one. Genghis Khan, the Khanate, the Mongol Empire, or will their empire, conquest, not the United States of America. Back in time, I believe it was December 7th, 1941, 42, 41. I know it was December again, my dates, 41, 1941 December. Pearl Harbor surprise attack. The United States practiced isolationist policies. What does that mean? It means that it's only concerned about domestic, cultural, political, financial, technological, social issues. It's not concerned with the outside world. Isolationist policies, which some other countries practice, not just the United States, other countries practiced or started practicing with COVID, with the great financial crisis during 2007, 2010, and so on. Isolationist policies meaning that you close yourself in many ways from the outside world, from trade, from commerce, from diplomacy, from interference, political affairs, etc., etc., etc. You isolate. Isolationist policies, politics and policies, and you concern domestically, interiorly, without having a lot to trade, to do business, other things with the other countries and other states, other nations, states, empires, what have you. And he was dealing with the Great Depression, which of course started in 1929, in October 22nd, I think was the 22nd or 23rd was the first Black Monday, and then Black Tuesday. After October 22nd, 1929. So 1929, October 22nd, and I believe 26th, and then 29th are the three big dates of the stock market crash. Black Monday, Black Tuesday, Black Friday. I believe October 22nd, 26th, 29th, something like that. And after 2 weeks, the stock market crash, triggering the Great Depression, which of course during Great Depression. So 13 years, more than 12 years, 13 years and 3 months or so, whatever. The United States isolationist policies, trying to fight the Great Depression, New Deals, Roosevelt, what have you. December 7th, 1941, the Japanese Imperial Army attacks Pearl Harbor Army Base in Hawaii, territory of the United States. Japanese Imperial Army surprise attacks the United States of America. The United States of America was not involved in the Second World War, was practicing isolationist policies internally, its own internal affairs, internal problems, etc., etc., etc. It's looking after its own business only, and not doing business with the outside world, or limiting, because there were some, of course, it was very limited. The prohibition was going on, other issues were going on. With Canada, of course, it was on the North American continent, more or less. It was a lot of isolationism practiced, politics, economics, social affairs. It was very domestically only, internally looking for that period. But in 1941, December 7th, Japanese Imperial Army sends its planes and kamikazes and destroys most of Pearl Harbor. Surprise attack. Surprise attack. That marks, according to me, the beginning of the United States of America, the beginning of the American Empire. Unwilling empire, looking after its own affairs, its own struggles, financial struggles, unemployment, poverty, more than 11 years of unemployment, poverty, not a lot of job creation. The Great Depression lasted 29, the war, of course, Second World War, so lasted maybe 13 years and 3 months and 12 years. 29 to late 29, October 1929, so 30. So it's 11 years and about 11 years and 11 months from the stock market crash, which caused the Great Depression, October 1929, till the surprise attack. So about 11 years and 11 months timeline, time span. From the stock market crash, October 29, October 1929, till the surprise attack by the Japanese Imperial Army on Pearl Harbor military base in Hawaii, the United States military base, in 1941 in December. So from October 1929 to December 1941, it's exactly about 11 years and 11 months. 11. If you're into numerology and stuff like that. Time. So that marks the beginning of the American Empire, that surprise attack. Because after looking internally in isolationist policies, it was shook up. I can't look only internally, my own small I look outside, and somebody poked me, somebody struck me. I'm saying I'm gonna get them back 7 times, 7-fold. H.a.dragan, priestess, my enemies, smitten. Oh my God, horse, 77-fold. Oh, my enemies be stricken with pestilence. 70-fold, 77-fold. My enemies may be avenged. But it's better if we go work together for world peace, and I help you, you help me, and food, housing, and transport security, public-private partnership. I think it's the compromise we must do in the 21st century for world peace and freedom and liberty. My sexual freedom and liberty, although I say that. I'm lacking a bit of love at this moment. Yeah, touchy, but that's okay. American Empire, born unwillingly, surprise attack. Paradox of the American Empire, because after that, the United States was unwillingly transformed by that surprise attack, and it started manufacturing, it started shifting and mobilizing a population which was stricken with depression, psychological, financial depression, population which was rock bottom, which was angry and depressed, and was attacked. One can say was attacked when it was low, at a low point. Right? It wasn't a point in the empire doing great. When it was at a low point, it was attacked. Right? Kicking somebody when it's down, as they say. Right? But from being so down, they got out real fast and really strong. And the American people, with all the internal struggles with racism, and it's not easy, because Japan ain't got multiculturalism and ain't got 13% of the population black, or China for that matter, or Korea for that matter, right? It's not easy, but we gotta make it work, my brothers and sisters. Freedom and love and understanding and complementing each other's forces. It's not easy. And China don't got that. Korea don't got that. And Japan don't got that. We here in North America, we are like that. Right? And I prefer it like that, to be honest. It's not easy, has its tensions and its XYZs and police brutality and XYZ, yeah. Today, 2021, Black Lives Matter, why have you? I'm gonna go into the modern logistics. I'm gonna keep it to in willing birth of the American Empire and the paradox thereof. And the paradox is that the United States is an unwilling empire. After that surprise attack, the American people mobilized. In many ways, they rebirthed it. Like after 11 years and 11 of struggle, poverty, mass unemployment, bread lines, food shortages, you name it. And it mobilized. They started mass produce Ford, started mass producing tanks. Population mobilized, got up and running, got up and doing, and got up. Hell, they got back up. Started producing weaponry. And started producing the biggest, most powerful military machine ever. Because at that point in time, when they got attacked, I'm speaking myself as somebody who was born in the USA twice in past lives. Or like somebody got kicked when they were down, right? Because the Nazi Empire was more powerful in their military. The Russian, at that point in time, when they got attacked, December 7th, 1941. I'm going to say because I was an American in a past life in the USA when we got attacked in that era. 1941. And Soviet Union, or Soviet Empire, the Nazi Empire, the British Empire, France, the Japan, China. These are more powerful militaries than the United States by a long shot. And it was a rapid transformation, mobilization of the people. Started building a lot of tanks, a lot of weaponry. A lot of citizenry got will to mobilize, to defend, to go, pay back. And not even that, but he got involved by that surprise attack in the war in Europe and with Nazi. And we got Patton, one of my favorite poems is from Patton, George S. Patton. I think born November 17th or November 9th or November 6th even. I know he's a Scorpio, that I know, but so he's anywhere between October 23rd and November 23rd. This poem is one of my favorites, is Through a Glass Darkly. And in that poem, George Patton talks about his belief being incarnated, reincarnated. He believed he had many lives, just as me. Being reincarnated, incarnated, and reincarnated again. Hopefully George Patton is incarnated now, somewhere, maybe a millennial in the US or Canada or France. He's going to join the mission, vision, and philosophy of the dancing goddess and the dragon empire for world peace. And back to the American Empire paradox. That was the paradox. The surprise attack, which spawned, and afterwards, of course, the Second World War. The United States and the Allies emerged victorious, with the Empire of Japan, Japanese Imperial Army being defeated. Yes, I do know. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the nuclear bomb, was part of the development by Robert Oppenheimer. Robert Oppenheimer was the main scientist of the Manhattan Project, as is known, and the other ones were, of course, other great scientists as well. The other one, Nazi Empire, was also defeated. D-Day, Normandy, Allies, Canadians were there as well. That's for sure. But that's paradox. And now the paradox of yours truly, Adrian h.a.dragan, rebirthing as Hana, A-D-R-I-A-N, H-A-N-A-H-D-R-A-G-A-N, and Dragon Zero of the Dragon, the Dancing Goddess Empire. Right here in this room, office, and temple, wrote many theories for world peace, financial reform, many poems, many songs, many scribblings, many guns, many workouts documented on my Facebook, YouTube page for more than 3 years. Lost more than 72 pounds, getting fit and fitter. Has-beenism will be medicine of choice for me. Back in time, October 2019. The paradox of the birth of the Dragon Empire and the General War Integrated Total Body Training System. October 2019, alarmed, upset, stressed as an independent citizen, security analyst, global security analyst, global financial analyst, global geopolitical analyst, and student and scholar, independent citizen, contributor to national Canadian security, and founder of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Empire. October 2019, alarmed of what was going on, mainly the Trump administration beginning the trade war with the United States of America, imposing tariffs on billions of dollars, more than 650, imposing tariffs, that is, of 10%, 15, 20, 25% on more than 650 billion worth of goods from China. Which stated, and I will state on record, that if I would have been Xi Jinping, I would have taken it as an act of economic, financial, and commercial war, imposing tariffs on so many billions worth of goods. A billion is 1,000 million. Remind you that the billion has 9 zeros. So 1 billion is 1,000 million. The other factor was the arrest of Meng Wanzhou to honor an extradition treaty with the United States of America. Meng Wanzhou is the chief financial officer of Huawei, the daughter of the founder of Huawei, who had overtaken Apple and Samsung to become the biggest mass producer of smartphones and telecommunications equipment maker, and big player in the 5G emerging market and the network development and internet infrastructure development, servers and computers and other gadgets, tech gadgets. Since 2010, they overtaken Apple and Samsung, which were the first and the second, respectively. Huawei, the arrest of Meng Wanzhou and the RCMP. So those factors, other factors, as the historical event known as Pearl Harbor, as I've just given you, was alarmed, trigger, upset, stressed, said this is not going well. We're on the path to World War III. The United States is on a path of war with China, which US going to war with China would mean World War III. There's no doubt in my mind about that. China has a lot of allies. We got a lot of allies, North America, NATO. Because if the United States goes to war with China, we got to follow Canada and other European NATO countries. NATO stands, of course, for the Alliance North Atlantic Treaty Organization, of which I'm calling Israel to become the 31st member and then to join the mission, vision, and philosophy of the Dragon Empire for world peace. Hopefully in 61 minutes by midnight. This will be so on February 19th. If not, the next day. The arrest of Meng Wanzhou, the trade war, other geopolitical events, historical events such as Pearl Harbor, made me to think we're on a path to World War III. So I've created, designed, made a workout that would go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, which is ongoing, part of my general war integrated total body training system, which is the official name. Those 7 words is the official long title of my new workout created in October 2019, General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the 300 workout, to go hand hand in hand with a World War III scenario based on what I've just said. The arrest of Meng Wanzhou, the trade war, and I said we're on the path to World War III, so I'm going to create a workout which will go with a World War III scenario. So the World War III scenario was this, and it's ongoing. It's a fictitious scenario, but was made and created to go hand in hand the workout with the new training program which I've started on as the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the 300, with this World War III scenario. The Trinity from World War III. Stock market crash, Halloween, Black Halloween, stock market crashes, November 6th, global financial collapse, November 17th, on the timeline of the scenario. This is the timeline of the scenario, fictitious. Surprise attack by China and North Korea on the North American West Coast, because China and North Korea blames the trade war as the main cause of the global financial collapse. Paradoxically, providentially, in a parallel way, COVID-19, 93 days later, strikes the world, triggers a health and financial crises. The health crisis and the stock market crash began February 2020, and it ended about April 7th, which triggered recessions and depressions worldwide. Paradoxical, providential, because my workout was created with the scenario where I envisioned me and willingly loving citizens and police forces and armed forces to join and rebuild society in a peaceful manner by securing food, transport, and housing, and rebuilding and creating this new force, the Dragon Army. In that scenario, I'm calling in paradoxical way in the creation thereof in real life, the International Citizen Security Force. The paradoxical again. Paradox. Parallel way. Now, my trinity on COVID, first and foremost, I don't know. First and foremost, I believe it was transmitted from snakes to human beings, or it could be the other way around. Second, I don't know for sure. It could be first, I don't know for sure, but second, I believe it was transmitted from snakes to human beings. And third, I don't rule out another possibility, such as an accident, a man-made virus, a bioweapon, maybe a biological experiment gone bad. But what I do know is that my workout is designed to go hand in hand with that scenario, which yearly paradoxically parallels in a providential way and resembles COVID-19 health and financial crises, and thereof I'm calling for the establishment thereof, the paradoxical birth of the Dragon Empire. Create a Dragon Army to secure food, housing, and transport locally, nationally, and internationally. Extend the hand of peace for all, willingly loving for world peace by a public-private partnership. And that I do know, and that my workout is perfect, symmetrical, and is the de facto training and examination for all willingly loving to join the Dragon Army as a soldier peacekeeper of the Dragon Empire. He'll have his main mission to secure food, housing, and transport for all the citizens, all the allies, all the subjects of the Dragon Empire. So that I do know. That's what I'm calling for in your life here. Hopefully by midnight, February 18th today, yours truly, Nathan h.a.dragan, rebirthing as Dragon 0, 136 General War Integrated Total Body Training Systems done, 300s. I'm going to reach 300. My dragon becomes the A, switches for an O. Was born in the same years Ronald Reagan was elected, had legalized drugs. Again, joined the Dragon Empire as a citizen, soldier, or an ally. Blessings of billions of push-ups, billions of hawks, billions of dancing moves, billions of marching steps. Dragon bless. Love you.